Alyssa looked harmless. She smiled in videos, danced in hallways, and moved like any other teenage girl online. People watching her clips never guessed she was older. They never guessed she was pretending. They never guessed her cheerful face was only a mask hiding choices that would later shock everyone around her. She held her phone, acted young, and created a world where she pretended to belong. But behind that sweet look was a plan she kept hidden from families, from friends, and from the boys who trusted her.
Alyssa Zinger be held without bond. The 23-year-old Tampa woman now faces additional charges for posing as a homeschooled minor and...
Alyssa Ann Zinger lived in Tampa, Florida. She turned 23 in January, but nothing in her online life showed that. She wore simple clothes, used light filters, and copied the style of younger girls. Her videos were short, light, and cheerful. She danced in public bathrooms, smiled into the camera, and posted clips that looked exactly like what real teenagers shared. Her voice sounded soft. Her expressions looked playful. People who saw her clips thought she was 14. She never corrected them. She used that belief to build her second world, a world where she acted like someone younger. She told people she was homeschooled. She said she spent most of her time online. She tried to match everything about the age she pretended to be. She watched what real teens posted and copied their ways of speaking. She learned their jokes. She repeated their slang. She reshaped herself until she looked like she belonged in their world. No one looking from the outside knew she was older. Away from the screen, Alyssa lived a quiet routine. She worked at a Publix bakery. She stacked boxes, frosted cakes, and spoke politely to customers. Her co-workers saw her as a quiet young woman with simple habits. She did not cause trouble. She did not stand out. She seemed ordinary in every way. No one looking at her workplace behavior could imagine the false identity she built online. At home, she had her phone in her hand often. She worked on her online persona almost every day. She studied how teenagers acted, how they chatted, and how they reacted to one another. She watched what they liked. She watched how they communicated. She learned their rhythm, their tone, and the speed of their conversations. Then she practiced until she sounded just like them. To her, this was a project. It was something she shaped carefully. She was not doing this randomly. She had a reason. She wanted access to boys who were younger. She wanted them to accept her. She wanted them to believe she was the same age as them. And she did everything she could to make her disguise perfect. In early 2023, Alyssa reached out to her first boy. He was 13. He used TikTok often. He enjoyed watching short videos that looked fun, harmless, and silly. Alyssa's dancing clip popped up on his screen. She looked young. She looked friendly. She looked like someone he might meet at school. She looked safe. She messaged him. The boy responded. He believed he was talking to a peer. Her tone matched his age. Her words matched his world. They talked about games, school, and normal teenage interests. Nothing in her behavior made him suspect she was older. She slowly gained his trust. Then she asked him to switch to Snapchat. She told him it was easier to talk there. He agreed. He did not see anything unusual. Their conversations continued. She made him feel like she understood him. She made him feel like she was just another kid trying to make friends. For months, she kept up this act. She met him in person many times. Every time, she pretended to be 14. He believed it. He had no reason to question her. She dressed like a teen. She talked like one. She behaved like one. She hid her real age behind every detail of her appearance. A few months later, Alyssa connected with a second boy, also 13. She used the same approach. She appeared on TikTok. She chatted casually. She suggested moving to Snapchat. She mirrored his language. She adapted to his interests. He thought she was someone his age. With this boy, Alyssa went even further. She started showing up around his world. She appeared in places where he and his friends spent time. She greeted them like she belonged. She looked like a shy teen meeting new people. She created an image of being harmless and friendly. She made his family think she was simply a young girl who enjoyed spending time with their child. For months, the second boy trusted her. His friends trusted her. No one imagined she was a grown woman pretending to be a child. She kept the disguise tight. She kept her story simple. She stayed consistent. She acted innocent whenever adults were nearby. Alyssa used the boys' trust in ways they never expected. She began sending them messages that made them uncomfortable. She told them not to share her messages with anyone. She pushed them to keep things secret. She encouraged them to rely on her. She tried to make herself important in their lives. She made them think she was their close friend. But she was an adult controlling the conversation. She used the privacy of Snapchat to hide what she was doing. The boys did not understand the risk. They only saw someone who acted their age and treated them kindly at first. This continued for months. Alyssa repeated this pattern. She gained trust. She hid her age. She kept everything quiet. And she kept searching for more boys who would believe her story. The first real sign of trouble came when one boy felt uneasy about something she did online. He started to notice small things that did not feel right. Alyssa's responses were sometimes too fast, too practiced. Her behavior felt strange at moments, like she was trying too hard to sound like a teen. Then she shared something he did not want shared. This scared him. He realized he needed help. He finally told an adult what happened. That adult took him seriously. They brought the matter to the school. From there, the information reached investigators. Once the first report was made, other things began to surface. The boy explained how long he had known Alyssa. He explained how she said she was 14. He explained how she contacted him. The details were concerning enough that investigators started looking deeper.
Middle name? Just Alyssa Zinger. Because how old are you? 14. Have you contacted your parents?
Yeah, get a hold of her.
What's her name, Alyssa?
Yeah, a half-sister.
A half-sister?
After the first report, investigators suspected that more boys might have interacted with Alyssa. They shared basic alerts privately. They encouraged anyone who knew something to come forward. In time, more boys admitted they had spoken to her. They gave their ages. They confirmed she claimed to be 14. They described how she talked to them. Some said she sent messages that made them uncomfortable. Others said she acted strangely when they hesitated. Some said she pressured them to keep secrets. Each story added more clarity. Each boy described similar behavior. Each detail matched the others. The pattern became visible. Alyssa had repeated the same method with multiple minors. She always claimed to be 14. She always used Snapchat. She always acted innocent at first. And she always pushed the boys toward private communication. Investigators gathered devices, screenshots, and message logs. They studied account names. They matched phone data. They traced TikTok clips to her real identity. They confirmed her real age. They found recordings that connected her to minors. They found message histories that proved she pretended to be a teen. They found signs she tried to erase conversations. They found inconsistencies in her explanations. They found details showing she tried to hide her phone. Each new piece of evidence pointed back to her online persona. Every digital trail linked to her. The gap between who she pretended to be and who she really was became clear. With the stories from the boys, the messages, the clips, and the digital proof, investigators reached one final point. They had enough information to take action. They moved in. Alyssa was taken into custody. Her online persona collapsed instantly. The world she built, the disguise she kept, and the control she held all fell apart in one moment. After Alyssa was taken into custody, the case did not stop. Officers reviewed everything they had collected. They studied the online accounts, the message history, the saved files, and the activity logs. The first arrest gave them starting points, but the work was far from finished. Detectives checked every device they recovered. They searched usernames linked to her profile. They looked for contact lists, call records, and digital patterns. They followed each trail to see if more young people had been tricked. As detectives continued, new calls came in. More families reported strange messages their children had received. Officers listened to each story, checking whether the description matched the same pattern. 4 more young people said they had been contacted the same way. They explained how she pretended to be a young teen. They explained how she acted friendly, how she blended into their routines, and how she talked like she was their age. Detectives compared these new reports with the earlier ones. The style was the same.
You have been taking advantage of them, you have been abusing them.
The detective in the case identified text messages and videos where Zinger claimed to be a teenager and later interviewed those who say they engaged in sex acts with her.
Were they adults or minors?
Minors.
Her defense lawyers say since her initial arrest, Zinger has not violated the terms of her release and pointed to a history of mitigating mental issues.
A child who, as growing up, had significant developmental issues, emotional issues, self-esteem issues, bullying issues.
Nothing about that gives rise to any basis for this woman to misrepresent her age, to pretend to be a homeschooled child, to cultivate and pursue child victims for her own sexual gratification.
When officers gathered enough new evidence, they acted again. Alyssa was arrested a second time. This time, she was not released. The court held a hearing to decide whether she could stay out while waiting for trial. Prosecutors explained why they believed release was not safe. They presented details showing she continued contacting young people even after the first arrest. They showed how she used online tools to hide her age, hide her location, and hide her identity. They argued that this pattern showed she would be a danger if allowed to leave jail. The defense argued that she had stayed in the county and followed her earlier release terms. During one visit to the family home, officers recorded body camera footage. Her father spoke to them outside. He said he believed she was not the one in control. He said she had met the wrong person and ended up in trouble. He repeated that she had never been in trouble before. He said she was not someone who acted out on her own. When officers came to collect devices, he handed them a phone he said belonged to her. Later, investigators found that the phone had an ID linked to her mother, not to her. The last activity on the phone was from 2 years earlier. This raised questions. Detectives returned for another search. They asked her directly about her real phone. She said she lost it. This answer became part of the case because investigators believed the real device held important evidence. The father's statements were added to the reports, not as proof of anything, but as part of the timeline of what happened during the search. The young people involved experienced many changes. Some had trouble sleeping. Some avoided social media after learning the truth about her age. Some felt embarrassed because they believed her disguise. Some had to meet with counselors to manage confusion and stress. Schools reported that grades dropped for some of them. Parents said their children became more quiet. Some pulled back from friends because they did not trust new people online. Officers connected families with support programs. Counselors explained that trust damage can last a long time. Some victims told investigators they no longer wanted phones. Others said they kept checking usernames to make sure people were real. These reactions showed how a digital disguise could create real emotional harm. The impact reports were added to the case file as part of the record. After the judge reviewed the full case file, a decision was made that 23-year-old Alyssa Zinger would remain in custody until her trial. The order was based on the felony charges connected to the evidence uncovered by Tampa police detectives. Investigators had documented that she presented herself online as a 14-year-old homeschooled student and communicated with middle school students. The charges were processed through the court system, and the bond status was set according to the judge's ruling. Even with the suspect held in jail until trial, the case remained a standard reference example for online safety investigations and the procedures used to track digital identities and age misrepresentation complaints.